Hi there, my name is Tim Zazulkin, I'm a journalist who reports from Ukraine for TVCN TV. The war in Ukraine is still in action and we're entering the decisive phase of the war. We understand that this winter will be the hardest season in the history of modern Ukraine, but we're filled with the will for freedom. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel, click the like button, hit the bell not to miss our new videos. December began for us with this inner feeling of fear because our intelligence warned Ukrainians that Russians are preparing their military forces to attack our infrastructure with their missiles. This is similar to the Nazi strategy in Great Britain during World War II. Russians want to freeze us, to deprive us of basic needs, but it has no result. They want to persuade us to negotiate, to postpone the conflict because they want to mobilize their forces. But the most important thing for us is not only to destroy all the enemies from abroad, we have to find all the collaborators inside of our society. The Security Service of Ukraine is conducting searches in the Ukrainian churches of the Moscow Patriarchate because there are a lot of Russian agents in the church robes, truly wolves in sheep clothes. Another loud scandal concerns one of the most successful collaborators, Evgeny Murayev. He is under American and British sanctions. Before the full-scale invasion, British intelligence published a report about Murayev. According to Kremlin's plan, he had to lead Ukraine after the killing of Volodymyr Zelensky. But after the full-scale invasion, Murayev just ran away from Ukraine. Now the Security Service of Ukraine is conducting searches in the offices of Murayev, inside his property and in his close circle. Russians are preparing themselves for the Ukrainian invasion. I know it sounds ridiculous, but they're truly mobilizing their territorial defense for the war on the territory of Russia. It concerns the regions that are close to the border of Ukraine, which includes Rostov, Belgorod, Kursk and other regions across the whole border with Ukraine. The propagandists of Russia are scaring Russian society, checking their bomb shelters and air warning systems. And it does make sense, but we'll talk about that later. In November, our army destroyed almost 17,000 of occupiers, and this number is growing in geometric progression. We're expecting more than 100,000 destroyed occupiers by the end of the year. It reminds me of the war in Finland in 1939-1940, when Stalin decided to occupy the lands of Finland to pull back the front line from St. Petersburg if Germany will decide to attack the Soviet Union. Was it worth it? Of course no, because Finns killed more than 150,000 of Russian soldiers who were not prepared for the war in severe winter conditions. And it showed Nazi Germany that Soviet Union is so weak. Counteroffensive in the south of Ukraine continues. Occupiers are ready to leave Kakhovka and Nova Kakhovka. It causes massive artillery attacks on Kherson and other cities and villages near the front line, because occupiers are so angry. A lot of people are dead because of these attacks, but Ukrainian military forces are pushing the enemies back. Our army is destroying logistics and warehouses of weapons of our enemies. There are a lot of dead mobilized Russian soldiers in the south of Ukraine, because Russians ignored their losses. According to the intelligence, Putin is ready to lose more than 300,000 soldiers in this war, so that's why we're expecting the new massive invasion of the territory of Ukraine in January or February. Something's still happening in the territory of Russia because there are a lot of explosions in the infrastructure of Russian cities. We're hearing the reports from Ryazan, Kursk, Angarsk and Vladivostok, and we still don't know what is going on. Are there some partisan movements or it is Ukrainian special operations? For example, one of the most discussed occasions happened at Engels Military Airport near Saratov. There were located 11 bombing planes, the biggest concentration of this type of plane since the big war began. We were ready for the massive missile attack, but something happened to this airport and there are a lot of planes that were hit by unknown flying object. We're still amazed that Russian air defense systems are not working, so someone could hit their objects. By the way, we have photos from this airport and it shows that these planes are carrying missiles X-22 with 1 ton of combat load. Could you imagine for a second how strong the impact on Ukrainian infrastructure could provide this missile? It seems that Russians are ready to protect Crimea. They're building military fences even on the beaches near the sea. And some rumors say that they're stealing the exhibits from the museums in Crimea. It could mean that they're expecting a bloody fight with our army. And it is definitely will be the hardest military operation in the 21st century. We have to enter the occupied Melitopol to reach Crimea with missiles. It is so scary to imagine how high the price of our freedom is. But Crimea will be back home as soon as possible. By the way, a few days ago a military unit in Simferopol burned down. There were a lot of mobilized Russian soldiers there, and we still don't know what happened. We returned 64 Ukrainian soldiers, yet still there are a lot of Ukrainians that are still prisoners of war. The hardest situation on the front line is still in Bakhmut. My parents were there for a few days ago and they took the humanitarian aid to this part of the front line. My mom told me that there were not like 10 seconds without explosions or shoots. There are a lot of men from my native town Nasivka in Bakhmut. I want to show you the video of Ukrainian soldier who was injured, but even after that our men are singing to support our defender, and the soldier is telling us that he cannot die because his wife and kid are waiting for him. This is what strength looks like.
Ти ж таких прикольних красоток у них ще не було. Чорну калину підіймемо, а ми ту славну Україну. Гей, гей, розвеселимо. Украинский тебе надо выучить. Дед вообще красавелла. Я женат, у меня будет скоро ребенок, и я умирать не собираюсь. Я Ксюшку люблю, хочется. Ебанутый, не красиво. Спасибо, как мне больно.
On the 16th of December, Russians made a new attack on the infrastructure of Ukraine. 76 missiles were launched from the territory of Belarus and Russia, and 60 of them were hit. One of the missiles fell on the building in Kryvyi Rih, where people lived. A young couple was killed. A man, his wife, and their 1.5 months child are dead. Their 7-year-old son, who was with Granny, stayed alive but became an orphan. As you can see, Russians are trying to break our will. They are pushing us for negotiations using these cruel methods. They want to freeze us, they want to kill us. It is a poor genocide. I bet that they still believe that they can break us because they don't know what is freedom. But I want to assure everyone that Ukraine will fight till the end and we will win. So stay tuned and I will tell you the truth about what is going on here in Ukraine. Of course, if we will have an electricity and heating. See ya.